everyone, Sparrow here. Welcome back to another zoo tour. Last time we were in the tropics of Thailand, and today we are right back to the cold weather taiga. This zoo is located in Finland, and it was created by the very talented Spanish content creator Zoologo Experto. As you can see from some of these cinematics at the beginning, this is a massive project and it is lagging quite heavily. This file took almost 15 minutes to open on my gaming laptop, so a lot of the shots will be still, obviously with some movement. So hopefully this isn't an entirely boring zoo tour, but it is going to be different than our usual meandering around the zoo. So the first thing we are going to start with are these really beautiful A-frame cabins. These are just outside of the zoo, and I thought they were super cute. I love the colors you went with. That green really kind of disappears into the foliage, which is nice. And I love that the roofs actually touch the ground. If there were snow on them, I feel like this would just be such, almost like a fairy tale come true to stay in a little cabin like this somewhere in Finland. Across the street, we've got our entrance. I love the amount of detail you have even here outside of the zoo. As we head in, we will first get into the parking lot, but just look at the crosswalk, look at all of the plants, look at those electrical wires and the fact that there's cars on the road. Like, it's just so much work went into this. And then we're going to head, not quite yet into the zoo, but into this building here, which is on the other side of the plaza from the entrance. Got some fun bear statues, and I love the theming in here. Those wooden beams, all of the lights hanging down, the fact that you have a Christmas tree in here. It's obviously not Christmas anymore, but maybe it was when you were building this. The bar here reminds me a little bit of the one that Caesar Creates put together in one of his zoos. I love it though, like it really fits the vibe. Lots and lots of seating. This is a massive cafe. On the other side, we have a gift shop. Walk on in here, check out what we've got. Lots of souvenir shop shelves and items from the souvenir shop update. Wow, this is a big gift shop. Oh, candles and umbrellas, that's cute too. And the posters, of course. Love the color coordination you've done over here. And then it just keeps on going, even more keepsakes. The only thing I would kind of be worried about is someone trying to shoplift through this second entrance here. Alright, so speaking of entrances, it is finally time to head into the actual zoo. So this is Invernalia Zoo. We've got this gorgeous polar bear statue right out front. And as we head in through this sort of rustic themed entrance, I believe there would be ticket booths here, potentially. And we see our map right away. We are going to try to follow the number order from 1 to 20 as best as we can, but knowing me, I might get lost along the way. First things first though, we have a playground right as we walk in. Also, those custom bins you'll be seeing throughout, and they look absolutely amazing. So this playground, I don't know if you used workshop items, but some of the details are just amazing. Like that tool hook there, these benches are exactly what you would see in a national park here in Canada. And just all of the little pieces you've put in here, the swings, the different ways to get up onto the equipment, the fact that you included the African beads in multiple ways. And even like as you pan across here, there's African drums have been used. It's actually amazing. The planting along the edges, I can see why this zoo is lagging so much. I like that you use the cibola bushes. They actually work really well. I'm personally a fan of arrowwood in the taiga biome, but I think it still works for your purposes here. One important thing to note is this entire zoo is basically a boardwalk. So we're gonna follow the boardwalk up to this sort of wetland pond area, and this is our first animal, and that is the mute swan. All of the habitats have this amazing signage. Your planting is just out of this world, honestly. It looks so pretty, so lush, like still believable for a taiga, especially since mute swans are kind of found all over the place. Your backstages, holy, they are so detailed, including the staff items. And I like that you use the souvenir shop shelves to organize that kind of stuff. So yeah, just very pretty first habitat. and I can't wait to see what comes next. We've got a toilet block, also fully furnished with a toilet and banks and literally everything that you would need in a toilet block. And past that, we have our second species. These are the reindeer, and they have two massive paddocks, and they are joined by this sort of runway behind where they can access their backstage area. And there's also a gate sort of further up that allows the reindeer to switch which paddock they're in. I love that you thought about all of these logistical things because it is so interesting to me to see how other people do this kind of stuff. It always takes so much time to figure out exactly what we're doing when it comes to that kind of layout stuff. The double barriers are really cool too because we have the boardwalk barrier and then we also have the actual animal barrier. So quite often we're actually quite far away from the animals. A lot less foliage in this one, probably a separation pen for the male. It is quite a bit smaller, but still lots of really good viewing opportunities. On the other side, we do have a red deer, but we will be circling back to those at the end because they are actually number 20 on our list. Instead, we're going to keep moving, and up next we have the wild boar. So this habitat is very swamp-like wetland, and I really love that take on a wild boar habitat. I feel like wild boar are usually placed in rockier or more forested habitats, but this sort of wetland feel is really pretty. And another detail that I noticed right away is the moss on the tree trunks. That is so cool. I love it. Usually in Canada at least, moss will grow on the northern side of trees, so you can use it as a wayfinding tool because that side of the tree gets less light. And so because it's a little bit cooler and more damp, that's where the moss will grow. Not always, but as a general rule of thumb, it will. Love the little bridge over the river. Obviously, it's more for the staff as we just saw the wild boar hop the river. So I don't think the boars necessarily need it, but it just looks so good. From here, they also have some shelter structures as well as a backstage area. These fully furnished backstages are just amazing to me. They look so good. This empty aviary is for the lynx. We will be finding some lynx in a bit here, but they do have lots of places to hide, such as this cave underneath these rocks. But the two lynx are actually on the other side. So there are two enclosures here, and both of them have been placed in the left one. Still lots of rocks for them to hide behind, and I believe there's a cave in this one as well. But as you can see, they like hanging out more towards the front of the enclosure in this tall grass. There is so much buffalo grass, not just in this enclosure, but in the whole entire zoo. Opposite the lynx, we have the wolverine with this beautiful viewpoint through which we can see them. Lots of fallen logs and trees and lots of rock for them to climb over. Few lower growing shrubs, but for the most part, they're actually quite easy to spot because there's not too much foliage. I think it's just the right balance. So we'll wave goodbye to our lynx as we continue on our way. And we get to cross this beautiful river that I believe surrounds the entire zoo and flows through it multiple times. As we follow the river, we find the Polar Bear Center. This massive building can be seen from many areas of the zoo. We do also have a security office, but we are going to sneak past our security guard over here and check out the interior because we can. Ooh, very nice. I love that shade of blue that you picked for the wall. And the mosaic on the ground, that is so cute. This looks like an elevator, so we're gonna take it all the way up. And we find ourselves in, this looks sort of like a bar area. And are those balconies that we can step out onto? Oh, we can see into, I'm gonna assume this is the backstage area. Has a pool for the polar bears, lots of toys. And I think there's another one on the other side. Very pretty. I like your use of the murals. Oh, and there's their outdoor habitat. Looks like the polar bear is going for a swim. So let's go take a look from the outdoor viewpoints where we have once again our awesome signage. And we can find our polar bears going for a swim. It must be quite warm out here because all of the polar bears are in the water at the moment. The little snow cannons are very cute. That is definitely something that they would have in an enclosure like this, especially in the warmer months. And here's a top-down view of the two enclosures. So they do have access to each other through a gate, but right now they are separated. And here is the backstage area that we saw from above, as well as the staff area, and just the entire complex. This thing is absolutely massive. So we're gonna cross the river again to get to the next enclosure, and that is going to be for the Takin. These Asian animals also live in quite cool climates, but obviously they'll never meet a polar bear, which they're probably quite happy about. I like that you've raised the terrain to eye level for the guests, even though the Takin is still quite far away from this viewpoint. Along the way, we also have Arctic wolves in a very grassy enclosure. These guys are so pretty when they're prowling through the grass. Another viewing point for these guys, or we can look down and see the animals traversing below us too. Their backstage area is obviously built for carnivores. And that's a wrap for the Arctic wolves. In this very grassy enclosure, we have our first modded animal, and that is the musk ox. As you saw in the previous clip, there are gates that allow access to this yard, which I believe is where all of the female musk ox are held. Behind the two enclosures, we also have another backstage area, fully furnished, as all of them have been so far. One last holding pen along the way for the Takin. And we're going to continue our look at some Asian animals, including the Saiga antelope. This is a much drier enclosure. The use of the parched and dry buffalo grass as opposed to the green, I think, works really well to show their habitat, which would be mostly the steppes of Asia. So lots of browns, lots of beige. I still like the incorporation of this little stream here, as well as elements like fallen branches and logs and lots of pebbles. I think those are the things that really help a habitat come to life. We're going to continue across the way to the Arctic foxes. These little guys also have a much more dry enclosure, which I think works really well with the Saiga across the path. More of a fall or springtime feel in the Arctic rather than full-on winter or more green summer. More snow cannons here, which I think works really well for the fox, and a small holding pen too, as well as one very happy little guy. Continuing our tour, we have the Przewalski's horse. This is quite a big herd, and they are so pretty. These guys were almost extinct in the wild, but they have recently been re-released, and there are more conservation efforts attempting to keep them in the wild. It is the last truly wild horse that we have in the world, and I think that's something we should definitely be trying to conserve. Additional pens in the back too, with more separated Przewalski's horses. I love, again, like the layouts for all of the backstages and the logistics of the gates and stuff. Kudos to you, my guy. Next up, we have our moose. They have a beautiful enclosure, very wetland-like, with this beautiful waterfall on the left. Here you can see the bull moose walking around over top of it. We have some fun little birdhouses on the trees. I might have to steal that as well, actually. That is such a good idea. Lots of grass for them. Plenty of trees, but obviously with all the tree guards because they do like to knock trees over. Here you can see a bit more of that wetland look of this habitat. It is an expansive habitat, but the moose is a big animal and it needs all of that space. The North American beaver is going to make an appearance next. Here's our little guy in a separation zone. Very cute backstage for these guys as well. And then here is the main enclosure. Lots of water, obviously, I love all of the water effects you used here, although I could definitely feel my computer struggling with them. This lodge is super pretty, and I'm pretty sure the beavers can actually fit in there, so great job. I also like that you built this habitat kind of into the surroundings, which means that it connects to that big body of water and the river that we've seen snaking through the entire zoo. So before we head down that pathway over there, we're going to check out this building here, which is so gorgeous. And it is such an interesting shape. Like, I don't even want to know how long it took you to figure out the roofing and everything else for this, because yeah, like, it is such an interesting shape. Plenty of seating once more, a very pretty kitchen in the middle. And if we hop out the back door, we also have plenty of patio seating, as well as some more picnic benches closer to the water. What a view. Further down the path, we have the mountain lion, or puma, or cougar. It has a big series of numbered doors in its backstage, which leads into an even bigger complex. Probably not as big as the polar bear, but this one is also just mind-blowing to me. Here is the cougar in one of the habitats. And here is a look at one habitat to the other. As you can see, there is a staff path in between, and our second cougar over on the other side. We're going to take a quick detour because included in this zoo is also a grape farm. There are so many cute touches here, like this cornfield and the hay barn and the tractors and so many animals like chickens just clucking around the corn. Lots of gorgeous windmills. I think these are the perfect backdrop. So we do have another mod here, the Holstein cow. This is a beautiful mod. And then also some in-game animals like our American donkeys and Hill Radnor sheep. Again, those windmills, like, I am just absolutely amazed. And those blades are made of tiles. Like, that is insane to me. We have a cute little village here. I love the red you've incorporated. And here's the view of the entire farm. Up next is my favorite though. Here we have this big building, and as we walk through the front door, we will see that it is in fact a winery, which is one of my favorite places to visit when I'm on vacation. Looks like some sort of tasting room in here, and in the back we have an entire room full of machinery, everything you need to make wine. Up this beautiful staircase, we also have a personal private tasting room with beautiful chandeliers and just walls and walls filled with bottles and caskets and an amazing view of the winery. Also thought this was really cute. And across the way we have a pond with a third mod, the Canadian goose. These guys, thankfully, are not particularly aggressive in game, but if you live in Canada in spring, you would know that you should probably run away from them. Don't be fooled. They are actually very dangerous. Some more farm animals. Here we have the pigs. These guys are super muddy. And visible from the pathway as we leave the Grape Farm are the European bison, or Wisents. They also have 2 enclosures, as well as a backstage building and a few pens that you can see from inside the Grape Farm. Not quite farm animals, but kind of close. We also have a staff parking lot behind here, which I'm really glad I found because these cute little doorways lead to another surprise. Very beautiful bathroom. Love the loft, and best part, this sitting room with a view of the Wisents. Such a great idea. We're getting close to the end of this tour, but I think this might actually be my favorite enclosure, and here's why. Not only did the male Markhor really want to show off, because each of the viewpoints, like, he was there, he was on the ball, he really wanted to be part of this video, but just the way it's built, it's like this rocky island for the Markhor, and I don't think I've seen anyone else do that just yet. And I just thought this looked so good. It had so many layers, like there's the little canyon in the middle and the larger rocks on either side. And this backstage with that man-made mountain is so cute. So following that up, we have the grizzly bear, which is of course also a beautiful habitat. That waterfall, the fact that there's a path between the grass that the bears have been taking, it's a massive habitat and it is so pretty. But remember that path we skipped in favor of the Grape Farm? It leads to the bear viewpoint, from which we can see the same enclosure from the opposite side. And I don't know which side I prefer, but they're both stunning. This is also an education area as well as a feeding area, and the bears are just patiently waiting for their next feed, so make sure you don't touch. Behind this, we have a high security backstage area, as you can see, with plenty more space for the bears, including one that has sadly been segregated from the others. And just like that, we're circling back towards the beginning. So here are our red deer that I said we would come back to. They also have 2 separate enclosures, like most of the animals in this zoo have had. Here is the pathway under the guest path so that they can be mixed. So this side is more forested, the other side is more marshy, kind of similar to the Swan lake that we saw at the beginning. And with that, that's all 20 habitats that Invernalia Zoo has to offer. Zoologo Experto, this was really difficult to get into and the lag was a lot, but I am so happy I pushed through and toured this zoo because there are so many things here that I think I'm gonna have to steal from my own zoos moving forward. So thank you very much for having me tour your zoo. If you also enjoyed this tour, remember to leave a like and a comment, and I will see you next time. Bye.